Yes, I was involved in animal rights activism for several years before myself and some others decided we need to escalate our tactics. And we'd seen really horrible things happen in animals. We'd been inside factory farms, we'd seen egg farms where you have 5 or 6 chickens packed in small cages. I've been to slaughterhouses and labs, and we felt like the type of activism we were doing was not being effective enough. We needed to help those animals right away, whether it was illegal or legal, whatever tactics we needed to employ, we were going to do that. And we decided working in a legal fashion had not achieved the results that we wanted. So we decided we were going to carry out illegal actions, as many others have before in the past and will in the future. And that's what ultimately led to my imprisonment. Myself and another person got together, and we mapped out a road trip across the United States. And what happens is every single year in December, every fur farm kills every single animal on their farm. And this is over 2 million animals every year are killed on fur farms. And it happens every December. They call it the pelting season. So we decided we wanted to make a road trip. It was going to be our attempt to get as many of those animals out of those fur farms as we could before pelting season. So in October, mid-October of '97, myself and another person got in a car, drove across the country, and when it was all over, exactly 6 fur farms had been raided, and about 8,000 to 12,000 mink and fox had been released from these farms. And basically every single one of these mink farm raids was more or less kind of followed the same model, where you had the fencing stripped away and you had every single cage open on the farm. And these animals were released into their native habitat. And that was something that we felt like we had an obligation to do for these animals, because man-made laws quite simply don't protect animals, so we have to break those laws in order to, I guess, answer to a kind of a higher law. And as a result of those actions, at least 2 of those farms had to shut down permanently. So I feel absolutely fantastic about the fact that those individual animals got saved, and the future victims of those 2 farms that had to shut down also were saved. Ultimately, myself and this other person were seen doing surveillance on a fur farm right after the 6th mink release had happened. So you'd had a lot of fur farm raids in a very small area in a very small amount of time. And unfortunately, we were guilty of trying to do too much in too short of amount of time, and we were seen doing surveillance on a fur farm. The farmer called the police pulled our vehicle over, they took the vehicle, they applied for a search warrant, and inside the car, when they eventually searched the car, they found ski masks or balaclavas, they found bolt cutters, they found lists of fur farms, and a lot of things that indicated that we were responsible for this wave of mink farm releases. So ultimately we were charged with a serious felony indictment, and we were ultimately sentenced to 2 years in prison. I have to say that every second I spent in prison was absolutely worth what I gained, or what the animals gained. One thing I like to point out is that when we released these animals, some of them got recaptured, but a lot of them got away. And when you actually look at the police reports that actually show in detail how many animals were not recaptured, as it turns out, I was serving about 10 hours per mink that was never recaptured. So, you know, when I was in prison, every 10 hours I could check off and say, that's another animal I saved, that's another animal I saved, that's another animal I saved. And that made my time in prison, frankly, much, much easier. I really found that the other prisoners that I was in prison with really respected me for what I was in for. Because in prison, at least the culture of prison, what's really interesting is that there's a lot of respect that's given to people that are looked at as having conviction, or standing up for themselves, or standing up for what they believe in. And so it didn't really so much matter that what I was in prison for, the other prisoners didn't care about. You know, they didn't maybe care about animals like I did, but they saw that I stood up for my beliefs. And that went a long, long way. So people, you know, they would read the newspaper articles, and I would talk to them about what I believed in and what I was in for. And I found that got me a lot of respect in prison. So it actually ended up, you know, the kind of case that I had, the kind of crimes I was in for, actually ended up being a tremendous asset to me in prison. So I found that it made my time a lot easier. Well, I would like to take anybody that has that opinion and put them in a cage and and see if they still have the same opinion.
Exactly.
Because to me that's speciesism, plain and simple. These animals have a desire to be free, just like you and I do. It's no different. So I think those people should spend a day or a night or a week in a cage and then see how their opinion changes. They're not animal activists.
Anyway.
They might be dog and cat lovers, but they're not animal
Exactly.
activists. It's moral schizophrenia is what it is. And you're absolutely right. If you eat meat and you call yourself an animal rights activist, that's like
an animal lover.
Or an animal lover. That's like being saying you're an anti-racist activist and you're
Exactly.
lynching black people.
That's
it's
what
exactly the same. These people should start to live consistently with their beliefs and stop being so selfish. And if they have compassion for a dog or a cat, they should extend that compassion to every species. It is absolute insanity to think you can eat meat and call yourself an animal rights activist. We're just trying to help animals. So if other people are doing harm to animals, it's our obligation to call them out on that. So that's all you and I are trying to do. We just want to help. We hope people are going to see that we're correct and make the right decisions. Be vegan, abstain from animal products of all kinds, meat, dairy, eggs, live a moral, ethical lifestyle, and it was the best thing I ever did, and just do it for yourself, do it for all the creatures on this earth that have a desire to live.